there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition. It's a Friday edition, folks. We made it to Friday. It is PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Gators win, beat JU last night in the home opener. Walter Clayton Jr., if you missed it, check it out on Twitter, people. Poster shot, just had a tremendous dunk on top of a JU Dolphin. Great football game, apparently. I think it was 14-7 Bengals at the half, ends up 36-35. I didn't see any of it.
I watched it.
And we got JC today, and then we'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel get both their thoughts on the letter that came out from Scott Strickland saying that Billy Napier will continue being the football coach. The only thing, JC, good morning. You're on the Titan More Hotline courtesy of Comfort Temp.
Okay. Awesome.
The Pony Express.
Yeah. I'm in Dallas. Got a big one coming up here. The Pony Express is playing, and they're going to try to get the ACC championship game. But anyway, we got more important things coming. So
yeah. All right, JC, we're going to do our Peachland Dental pick shortly.
Yeah.
Just your thoughts on the letter that was sent out yesterday by the UAA.
Okay, QB, I think this is a function of trying to keep stability and this coach intact while they go through recruiting. I don't know if it's because of recruiting or because of the fact that they're ranked 50th in that category right now. I think with NIL, which means now it's legal, and transfer portal, you know, I don't know what the rankings really mean anymore because I think things can happen so quickly and so fast. I think he thinks he's thinking about the quarterback. He's thinking about Billy's contract. He's thinking about a lot of things. And I think, frankly, Scott Strickland is tired of thinking about it, QB. And I don't know if he has another name. So with that in mind, I don't know if the president said, you know what, pick us out another coach. We don't know that either. So I think the easiest thing for him to do, QB, was to just simply write a letter and say, we're done talking about it, and go Gators for the next 4 weeks. And let's hope this coach can find us some other player and go to 6-6. That's what I think he's saying.
That was interesting. What I saw, there was nothing that mentioned 2025 in there.
No, and there was nothing mentioning an extension or anything like that. It was just, we're gonna let them finish it out. We're gonna let them start 2025, and we'll go from there. And I think that's just because, again, I think he's tired of dealing with this. He wants these chat rooms and all of the things that go on. Third party.
It was good for the chat rooms because the chat rooms are really going to be fired up now.
But, I mean, in terms of Billy's status, he wants that topic to close, and he wants to finish up this year, hope to go 6-6 and get to a bowl game. That's really what I think he's saying right now, and we'll find out next year really where we end up. But I think the recruiting thing, the stability of the program, all those things play into fact. And I'm sure Edgar Thompson's going to chime in on all that, but basically I just summed it up for you right there in my opinion. In my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it because, I keep hearing we have some good young players.
Yeah.
Which we do.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee they're going to be here regardless of who the damn coach is. That's my point.
I think the players, though.
You can't worry about that.
But don't you think the players like the coach and vice versa?
See, you know what players like? They like to win and they like money. Okay?
Yes.
They like money.
Yeah. That's very true.
And we have some getting paid a lot of money.
We do.
But they could leave and go get a lot of money somewhere else. So, college athletics is crazy now. I don't know how anybody can get attached to any player, any coach, or whatever, because, I've heard people say, well, if you hire this guy, there's no guarantee he's going to be there more than 5 years. Well, you don't know that about any coach. You don't know that about a player in today's world. So regardless, we'll see what Edgar has to say. Edgar obviously been diving deep into this.
I'm going to say Edgar's going to simply say, and I'll let him speak for himself, but I think it's going to be about keeping some sort of stability intact so that you can't get negatively recruited against when they say, hey, man, you can't go to Florida. My God, they don't even have a situation at head coach yet. So I think it's about calming down the noise, and I think it's about basically saying, You know what? I'm tired of dealing with this, and this is what y'all got. And so let's go 6-6 and go enjoy the.
Who's going to go 6-6, JC?
I know, but you got to think that way. I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm just hypothesizing what's going through Strickland's mind. But I also don't think Strickland has a name QB to replace.
I don't think that's the case. I just think that the higher ups are saying we're not going to make a change, and I don't know. We'll have Edgar. He's got all the insight. I'm just going by my personal thoughts. I have no information.
Okay. I don't disagree with that, but yeah, QB last night. By the way, Cincinnati's up 21-7. This team has lost so many close games. Zach Taylor has to understand that. I think he did the right thing going for 2. The game ended by 1 point. They had a chance to go for 2 and win it at the end, just like the Buccaneers did with the Chiefs. It didn't work out for them. They failed on the 2-point conversion. The Ravens escape again. The Ravens are not good enough to beat the Chiefs in Kansas City right now, not with their defense. And I think they're they got away with one there. Cincinnati could have come one game within Baltimore in the standings if they pulled that one off. Cincinnati has done all they can, but they just couldn't hold them defensively. Lamar got running and rolling and doing everything. The Bengals had a great plan to stop Derrick Henry, which they did, and it really messed up Lamar Jackson. That's why Baltimore, when they get to the playoffs, these defensive coordinators, and we've seen it over and over again, QB, the Ravens shut down in the playoffs. And I think that's what you're going to see again this year. This is Kansas City's conference to lose.
Reggie says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel if UF had a president in place, Strickland and Napier would be gone.
Don't disagree with that one bit. I do not, because that is the first thing that has to happen, Gator fans, in my opinion, is that they have to be stabilized at that position, which eventually they will when Fuchs leaves. And then when that happens, we'll start moving forward. But, I just think he's tired of dealing with a QB, so he's basically shutting down the conversation.
Let's get to our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Go visit them at peachlanddental.com. Okay. And also, if you want to follow JC's lead with Hard Rock, you can legally bet on hundreds of props, parlays, game lines, and more. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Well,
JC, what do we got this week?
Yeah, and I did these picks on Hard Rock while I was sitting in the Jacksonville airport, because once you leave the state, you won't be able to bet on Hard Rock, and that's just the way the rules work. So I got some plays in on Wednesday when I flew out of Florida. And, this schedule this week out of the SEC is not that great. We have 3 ABC games.
That probably means it's going to be great games.
It probably does. We have 3 games on ABC, starting with Florida and Texas at noon Eastern, 11 o'clock Central, where I'm at, followed by Mississippi and Georgia, which is going to be, I think, the game of the weekend, followed by what is always and usually one of the games of the year, Alabama, LSU. And in the SEC, I think you're going to have the best games to watch. So let's start outside of the SEC in the ACC, where the Clemson Tigers, reeling off their loss last week, are going to try to pick up the pieces, even though I think they're out of a playoff spot, really, and play Virginia Tech. The Hokies also choked up a win last week. They are a team that just doesn't know how to win. It's too bad, because I don't think they're that bad of a team. They just can't close the deal. But they are getting 6 at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia, against Clemson, and I like that enough. I don't think Cade Klubnik is the answer at Clemson. Because when he plays pressure situations or against good teams, they don't win, it seems like. So I'm taking the 6 points.
Yeah, I'll take the Hokies.
Okay, you got them. This game, now this might surprise you. Indiana is laying 14.5 to the Wolves of Michigan. This is a game where Indiana has blown out everybody they've played. They've covered the line, I think, every weekend they've played. They are really an interesting team to watch, but their schedule and the teams they played, which is not necessarily their fault in conference, that is, are all unranked and they're lousy teams. But Indiana has good players. They've got players that Kirk Cignetti brought from James Madison, and they've got a 6th-year quarterback. I think he's in the 5th or 6th year. He's been around for a while, Curtis Rourke.
Is he back?
He is going to play. He played last week against Michigan State, and they trailed 10-0 in that Michigan State game, right. And they went on and scored 40 points. They're laying 14.5. Something tells me, though, that Michigan is going to show some pride and come and bring the defense and keep it inside of 2 touchdowns, much like what Florida did last week with Georgia. So I'm leaning on Indiana for sure to win the game, but I think that spread is awfully large, and I think the Vegas knows that everybody's on the Indiana bandwagon. They're going to just pile in on Indiana. Give me Michigan plus the 14.5, even though they can't.
I agree with you. I think Indiana's going to win, but I think they win by like 10. I think Michigan will muddy up the game.
That's right. Yeah. This is a good one. When was the last time you walked away around and woke up in the morning and said, wow, South Carolina and Vanderbilt is a thriller? All right. Vandy is getting 4.5. Vandy is covered every week. South Carolina is the new hot thing going on right now after they embarrassed A&M and played hard the week before and embarrassed somebody else. Oklahoma, I guess it was, or something. But Vandy's catching 4, and when Vandy scores, you usually win. So I'm taking the home team in Nashville, plus 4.5.
Yeah, I'm just going to be different. I do think Vanderbilt's probably going to win this game because I think South Carolina's going to – everybody was patting them on the back, how great they were on campus all week.
Yeah.
And that crowd can lull you to sleep there. I'll just be different, and I'll go with South Carolina.
I bet you the South Carolina fans flood the place because Nashville's –
No, they will, but it's still – I don't care if your people are in the stadium or Vanderbilt's. The stadium itself, now that it only holds 26,000 under construction, it will lull you to sleep.
I got you. Okay, well, Vandy plays well. I mean, they had Texas on the ropes. They beat Alabama. Mississippi State at Tennessee, 24.5. I mean, who the hell knows? Give me Tennessee. I think they play good defense. They'll win by 30.
Well, it seems like Tennessee has been struggling in the first half. They play better in the second half. I will take Mississippi State to lose by 23.
Yeah, and that's a winning bet is what that is.
Here's the thing is I think Josh Heupel and old boy, what's the coach's name at State?
Oh, that would be Jeff.
I think they're really, really good friends. I don't see him running the score up on them.
It makes sense. But man, Mississippi State is just horrible.
They're not good, but I'm not sold on Tennessee.
Okay. All right. 24.5 is a big number. I probably should take State. I'd rather see State cover that, tell you the truth. Oklahoma, here's another team just can't get out of their own way. At Missouri. Now, this is a funny line because Missouri is an underdog, which it's got to mean Brady Cook is unavailable.
He must not be playing.
He can't walk. So I'm going to take the I hate taking Oklahoma, but I'm going to take a -3.
That tells you all you need to know about either Missouri has a ton of players out,
tells you all you
including
need
their quarterback, because
tells you all you need.
Oklahoma is just. I'm going to take Oklahoma just because of what Vegas is telling us right there.
That's right. Here's a good one. LSU is catching 3. Now it's down to 2.5. Kelly yelled at Nussmeier this weekend for talking about publicly his childhood dreams of Alabama football. I don't know why he mentioned that, but that's what he did. He talked about that.
Well, his dad did coach there.
I know it. No, I mean, who wouldn't, as a youngster, be dreaming of Alabama football back in the glory days? And they weren't that far ago or long ago. So Alabama is favored. They usually always win at LSU. They lost when Jaden Daniels converted a 2-pointer 2 years ago, but Alabama plays well in Baton Rouge. I think they get off the mat. LSU is going to throw interceptions. Give me the Tide laying the 2.5.
I like the Bayou Bengals at home. I think LSU is going to throw a bunch of completions, JC.
Wouldn't
a bunch of completions.
Would not surprise me at all. Hopefully those completions are the team in the red uniforms.
Yeah.
Speaking of the team in red uniforms that will be wearing white with the silver breeches, rolling up into the Grove against, I think they're going to come out in their baby blues with baby blues with the white pants and the baby blue helmet. I mean,
I hope they wear their red jersey with the
I would like that
with
better.
The powder blue helmet and go back to the gray pants, the old uniform.
Oh God, it would be absolutely stunning. That would be beautiful.
That's my favorite uniform.
This game should have been the night game. They had to give LSU that damn night game, though, for whatever reason. It's not fair to Mississippi. Mississippi should get a night game. They haven't gotten on the schedule for a night game, and they always give it to stinking LSU for like it's some sort of rite of passage. We get to play at night when Alabama shows up. I wish I had to put Alabama LSU on at 11 in the morning. But Georgia and Mississippi, the Rebs are getting 2.5. Man, I'm sorry. I've seen enough of Carson Beck. I think Ole Miss confuses him. And this time, if he throws interceptions in the first half, he's going to find his ass down by 2 touchdowns. So give me Mississippi catching the 2.5, and Georgia will be out of the playoff picture, if you can believe that, if they lose this game.
I like the
The Rebs, yes, you do.
Rebs.
I know you do.
I like Kirby Smart. I think he's a phenomenal coach. He gets his guys up ready to play for big games. But offensively, I got concerns for them. And I just think Ole Miss can score and will score.
Georgia is a team that responds to pressure, though.
Yeah, they do. But as you said, Carson Beck has to play better than they beat Texas and he threw 3 interceptions against Texas.
And they almost beat Alabama and he threw 3 or 4. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I just I don't know how, if he doesn't play well, I don't know how they can beat Ole Miss. Speaking of Ole Miss, Kevin says on the Titan our text line, curious to hear your guys' thoughts on Lane putting 27 players on the injury report. That's Lane being Lane.
Wow, 27.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, he's going to do all he can off the field, but I think what matters is the game he calls. Offensively. Yeah. Does he call the plays, or does he
calls them? I mean, Charlie Weiss Jr. has the title, but Lane calls the plays.
Okay, so I trust that. I do, and I know Kirby's great, one of the best defensive coaches in college football, if not the best. So this is the best game of the day. This is the game that should be on at 7:30, but this is what you're going to see a lot of athletes running around just like you will with Alabama and LSU. These are 2 great games on ABC back-to-back. I think it's a great day to watch football, and hopefully the Gators can keep the clock running and just stay with Texas. That line is pretty big, as
like
you would
24
imagine.
Or something like that.
Well, you would imagine. It's 22.5. It's come down, actually, and I don't know why, but I think Florida's going to give it all they have for about a half and then just run out of players. I just think Texas rested, having the week off, knowing that they're in the stretch drive and that they're in prime position now to win the SEC with a game at A&M and with Georgia playing against Mississippi. Texas has their sights on the SEC. I think Texas is going to probably cover this spread just because Florida won't be able to score many points, unfortunately. I don't think.
Electronics World, integration and design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment, affordable local installation, service, and support. Go check them out.
Do you see Aiden Warner lighting up the Longhorns and Bevo?
No, I think he'll play better than he did last week just because of practice. I do have one big upset for you this week, JC.
Let's hear it. I'll put it down.
As much as I hate it, I think the Black Knights of Army are going down.
Uh-oh. No.
Because the Mean Green.
That's right here. I can go watch that. That's 10 minutes away from me.
The Mean Green can score.
Yeah, but the Mean Green can't stop they can't stop anything, QB. Well, I like your pick. I'm not saying your pick's bad.
That's my upset of the week.
Okay, well, let's see. What is the spread? It is.
I don't know, but they have to be underdogs, I would assume.
Army is a 4-point favorite, so you've got a 64.5 total in that game. That's a lot, man. That's a lot,
especially for an Army game. Think about that.
Yeah, no, it is. But Bryson Daly is unstoppable.
I don't think he's. I don't know if he's playing.
Well, if he's not playing, then North Texas could easily win that game. I'm going to take Texas Tech as an underdog.
Who are they playing?
They're playing Dion, and they're at home in Lubbock. Okay, middle of nowhere. And they're catching 4. They're coming off a big win last week. I know we don't keep up with these teams much in the Big 12 or in the Midwest, but here's another game that I don't understand the line at all. BYU is playing Utah. Utah does not have any offense to speak of. Utah is at home. I don't care. It's the Holy War. Utah is catching 3, and BYU wins this game by double digits. So give me BYU. That's not really an upset because they're a favorite, but they're only a 3-point favorite. Doesn't make sense. I think they should be a bigger favorite. Utah cannot score. I'm taking BYU big over Utah. And
BYU is a very good football team.
They can hit you, man. I like BYU. I do.
They're very good.
Yeah.
All right, JC.
Folks, take BYU.
We're gonna let you go so you can go ride your bike around parks and stuff in the Dallas.
I'm going to the gym, brother. I get to walk into the gym here because of my membership at home at Hawkstone. I walk right in there. They say, "Hello, John," and I go in there and do my weight training.
They know who you are?
I'm going to because I've been here before many times. So I'm going to go pump some iron, get all fitted up for the big weekend. And then I'll be in Houston on Sunday. I'll tell you all about it on Monday morning from Houston, Texas.
All right, that's JC. Join us on the
Okay.
Take More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. When we come back, we will be joined by our good friend Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. The Gridiron sponsors are Florida Cracker Kitchen, Comfort Temp, Peachland Dental, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Cogent Bank, UF Bookstores, Florida Victorious, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Electronics World, Miapa Latin Cafe, 84 Lumber, Baker Sporting Goods, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, and Gator Bait Media. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever you're on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor and advertise, call our man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
After serving over 100 families over the past several years, we're super excited to kick off the holiday season. I'm Dylan. I'm Garrett. And we're Sunshine Holiday Lights. We all know how stressful it can be to decorate your home during the holidays. Our services include installation of all material, maintenance, takedown, and storage of the material throughout the year. If you want to spend more time with your family this year, give Sunshine Holiday Lights a call.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. With 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, you're never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. We're going to go back to the Titan MR Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by the Orlando Sentinels, Edgar Thompson. Good morning, Edgar. How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing okay. I'm just lot going on with the Gators.
All right, so let's do this. Edgar, let's just go ahead and address what came out yesterday, the letter from Scott Strickland. I had heard that some letter was coming out, just didn't know when.
I thought you wanted to talk
I
about
read it
women's
multiple times.
basketball.
I read it multiple times. Tell me if I'm crazy here. I didn't see anything about 2025 on that letter.
I think the letter was kind of poorly, maybe not. I mean, it was fine, but it was kind of.
But am I making too much of that?
Well, we talk about burying the lead. That's a common thing. You've heard that expression, right?
Yeah.
Buried the lead. I mean, you do it in conversation. I'm great at that. I go on a lot of tangents, and then I'm like burying the lead, right? You've talked to me enough. So he buried the lead. I don't even know if he ever even got to the lead, right? Never did you see the words 2025 in there. But I think the thought was they didn't want to put like a limit. Like he'll be back for 2025, and then everyone reading into it, okay, well, he's getting one more year, and that's it kind of thing. I'm trying to go to this on my iPad here, because this is what I was trying to say to people, though, because there was a lot of out there of people parsing the words, okay? But when he says we will work alongside him to support any, hold on, that's not right. No, he said the place where he's talking about sticking with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that? I'm sorry. I needed to be a little bit more prepared. I was at that basketball game last night.
All good, Edgar.
No, but there was like he had something about sticking with him, right? And
well, don't worry about it. We all read it.
well, it's unfortunate because what I'm trying to see, it's like it looks like my editor did something with this story. I always love seeing that. Like, I mean, it looks like they added too much of it in there. But he had something over sticking with him and building a championship program. And the dedicated players and building a championship program, that line, right? At the end,
Mhm.
well, they're not building a championship program in the next 4 weeks.
No.
They best they can do is 8-4. That's not championship. So people to say, oh yeah, well, he could still fire him this year. I mean, no, he's not. But I do think that they didn't just come out and just state. And then I'm also hearing there was kind of some legal maneuvering and thinking behind that, because what if something happens and you're committed or, I mean, look, this Rashada thing ain't even played out yet. What if
Right.
something comes out on that? I mean, I have no idea what their real thinking is. They haven't enlightened us, but I mean, the letter is to stick with them through another season. I think it's pretty clear, don't you?
I would assume, I thought it would have said at least 2025. I mean, I don't, it
Yeah,
is
but it
what it is.
sounds like they didn't want to box himself in.
Yeah. Real quick, Joseph asked here, Edgar, on
Sorry, guys.
Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Can Edgar give an insight on the reports that UF intends to spend $10 to $13 million on NIL investments instead of using it on the buyout? I'll let you go first.
I think they hit this roster. I think we heard was 13 million this one.
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong, Edgar. Everybody in America is going to have about $20 million that the
20.5.
$20.5 million that the universities can use towards NIL. Now, that's not just for football, that's for all sports, correct?
What is an NIL, but it's like direct payments to athletes
Okay.
from the school.
So what I'm saying is, so you're going to, let's just say 20 million.
But that's not NIL. NIL is going to be, supplementing that.
Right. So $20 million from each school will have to pay athletes, regardless of whatever sport they want to pay. Then you're still going to have your collectives or whatever they're called. Okay. I had a bunch of people text me on the Titan Amar text line regarding this. Like, okay, we're going to have $20 million, but that's got to go through baseball, basketball, football, all that. Yes, your donors are still going to be giving money, or the boosters, the fans. But my question is, do you think that pile of money is not going to be what it was?
There's a lot of piles of money being required right now, man.
No, but I'm saying
I'm
that money
following.
has to come from donations.
No, I know.
I'm
just
saying with
you're-
this news, does that get better or does it get worse in your opinion?
Well, you know what? I hear there might be a big donation and a big infusion of cash coming today. That's what I heard last night late. Someone called me and told me. I'm like, I don't know if I can report an infusion of cash coming into the Gators unless the booster wants to tell me or UF announces it. I mean, maybe it will, but yeah, look, it's that NIL still going, man. This isn't
Right. I guess what I'm trying to get at here is a lot of fans wanted a different coach.
yes.
Some have no problem with Billy. If the people that were donating are upset about this news, my question is, I'm thinking they're not going to be donating.
Well,
That's where I'm going with this, because
that's been going on.
right. But if a coach, I feel like if a certain coach is hired, the average fan that hasn't been giving would give. And I think it would be a surplus of money. But that's just my 2 cents.
All right, so is this a football or financial decision is what I've been like kind of kicking around with a couple people. And some people feel like, hey, the football's improving. You do have a core of young players that it's easy to get excited about, led by DJ Lagway and Aaron Gates, who I think is an absolute stud. And this guy's amazing. Right? I mean, I love him. Jaden Baugh, Pup. There's some others. Pete Thamel yesterday reported 70% of the NIL money Florida spending is going to freshmen and sophomores. Did you see that? So the younger part of the roster is where the emphasis is, the focus is. And So, okay, you have the buy-in, the team's playing hard, all that. But I still look at the financial aspect, Shane, right? To
Right.
to cut ties with this situation, 27 with DeBilly roughly. You have a number of guys. Austin Armstrong's due to make 1.3 next year. Okay. That's one. You have Ron Roberts didn't sign up for 1 year. He makes 775. You have a bunch of newer assistants, Chapman, Will Harris. These guys are making a half plus. Okay. These guys are on 2 year deals. There's a lot of guys that are still under contract for another year. Okay. And you have this army behind the scenes. And
That's
there's
the problem.
well, hang on. So there's some people in that army that are under contract, I assume. I mean, someone like Katie Turner, not, Savannah Bailey, people come after these people to try to hire them. So you put them
Right.
under contracts. The price tag, someone told me, now it seems absurd that it's this high, is $40 million. I didn't think it was quite that. I thought like 33, which is still crazy. So you're going to take, let's say, 35 to 40 million bucks just to get rid of this. Then the next guy, you commit what, 60, 70 million to the next enter. So you're making $100 million plus commitment potentially to move on from Billy Napier. By the end of next season, a lot of these contracts are going to be off the books. His buyout's going to be reduced significantly. Now you're going to have to hire potentially some people. We're hearing this OC thing that I'm sure you've already talked about on here, that an OC is like part of the contingency.
Can I stop right there for a second?
But hang on, but you can't, but here's the deal. We're talking massive amounts of money, and you got the settlement coming in, 20.5 million you're on the hook for now, starting in 2025. It just financially is really difficult. So here's what I was going to say. You damn well better have a sure thing coming down the pike. And what's a sure thing? And was UF ready coming into this season thinking, oh God, we've vetted, we've looked in, we've invested, looked, everyone's about Kamala Harris not having enough time with her campaign, 100 days or whatever, fine. UF on September 14th realized, oh my God, after Texas A&M, that wasn't even 2 months ago. Do you think they've time to vet everyone and look into everybody deeply and how they run their organizations to the nth degree? Because you better know that, because your next hire has to work, or you've burned another 100 million.
So my question is,
Does that make sense?
whether it's financial or whatever, what is the financial issues going to be if we're sitting here in the same situation at this time next year? I'm just asking. What will the financial?
I just said it. I mean, they're going to get a bunch of contracts off the books. Billy's buyout's going to be less.
Okay.
And you're going to, again, I assume you have a list and you've worked up like contingency plans behind the scenes, if this, if that. But let's say you want to put eyeballs another season on Kirk Cignetti, let's say. People are saying, he's so old, whatever. Guy's pretty damn good. And someone I was talking to who really knows football the other day says Indiana is the best coach team in the country. They are just solid as a rock.
Mhm.
They are so well coached. Okay, let's just say that's the case. You want to watch him more. You want to see a little more of X person. You know a name that's been floating around? Ryan Day and that whole operation. Okay, you might not like him, but let's say it's not working out for Ryan Day next year and he's just done with Ohio State. They're done with him. I'm just saying, man, you don't even know who you can get. The calendar too, man. You can't even talk to guys. You can talk to their agents, but you can't talk to guys till like January. So you got to be they're going to spend a lot of time preparing for a potential next move next year. You got to think. I don't know. Am I making sense over here?
No, you are. I mean, look, here's the thing. Everybody, I mean, we're getting all these questions about he needs to hire an offensive coordinator. Okay. I'm not disagreeing with that. But Edgar, first of all, I don't know who that offensive coordinator may be, right? But who is going to come be an
Nor do I.
offensive coordinator for possibly 1 year. He may sign a 1 or 3 year contract to be comfortable, but you see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm talking about all this money you're going to save, and then you're going to have to do the Kurt Roper deal, right?
Yeah, I don't know what Kurt Roper got paid, but
Well, no, he didn't get paid much. He got 600 over 3, but it was 1.8 million guaranteed. So that's back economics of 10 years ago. You're going to have to pay a guy at least $1 million-ish over 3 or 2 at least, and you're going to have to guarantee a guy millions of dollars to come here potentially for 1 year. Yes. That's what you're going to have to do.
and I don't know who would do that. I mean, that's too risky. If you're comfortable being the OC and if you're a great OC at school X, do you stay at that school? Because if you continue having success, now you got a chance to be a head coach possibly somewhere. I don't think it's as easy as people think as just hiring somebody to be the OC. I just don't. It's got to be somebody that just wants to come call plays and roll the dice that it may be a one and done deal.
Well, we saw the Kurt Roper thing. And I remember the first game they played, right? Eastern Michigan. You remember that? And Trayon Harris threw a couple touchdowns, and it's like, man, they scored like 63 points or whatever it was. And we're like, what? 65-3, I think, was the score. And it's like, man, this was great hire.
Yeah.
Didn't go that way.
Joseph says Cade Belfort. Look, I know Cade extremely well. I love Cade. But you got to think, okay? Think about Cade. He's 30 years old.
I was actually going to mention him. It's funny.
Yeah, but think of this scenario. He's having a lot of success at Pitt. I mean, they're 7-1. Pitt has never had an offense like they've had. Okay. If Cade stays there and Pitt continues to win 7, 8, 9 games each year, he's going to have an opportunity to be a head coach somewhere, right? Probably. If he comes to, let's just use Florida for example, for 1 year, he's taking a chance. Now, he could light it up and he could be the savior. Or if things don't go bad or go bad, now he just left a good opportunity for his career at Pitt, and now he's probably got to go to a Louisiana Tech or go back to his dad at Western Carolina. You see what I'm saying?
I totally see what you're saying. And it's interesting because he is the name that popped up in my head.
Yeah, I think he's very good. But I guess I would ask you, Edgar, it'd be like in your business. Do you want to go work for the Washington whatever Post or whatever for possibly 1 year, or do you want to stay where you're doing very well and could have a chance later on to be the head guy somewhere? I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I mean, job security. I don't know if be the guy. I mean, I don't know what that is at my paper, right? Replacing Bianchi. I don't know, and I don't know that I couldn't do Bianchi's job. He's terrific. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, stability over like, a chance that might not work out, but that's life, isn't it? But by the way, not to correct you, but I think the Pitt offense with Tony Dorsett and Matt Cavanaugh was pretty solid when they won the national title in 1970.
Well, I didn't say he was the best that's ever been at Pitt. I'm just saying under Pat Narduzzi.
No, I know, but you said it might be the best ever at Pitt. I'm like, man, Tony Dorsett played there.
I didn't say that. Did I say that?
Kind of. But look, it doesn't matter. Look, Cade Bell's kicking ass.
Right.
I love that hire.
He's kicking ass with players from Western Carolina on their roster. That's impressive.
Look, the guy, he would be, and he's only 30. So he's at the age where you can kind of throw caution to the wind a little bit, right? It would be an intriguing hire for sure. I don't know what his
but then again, you gotta and none of us will know this, but I've seen it happen by being on teams, and I've had friends who have gone through it. Will that person, regardless of who it is, have full control to do what they want to do?
Well, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Great minds, right? I was about to say, is Billy gonna like not just be in kind of meddling and in that room and just kind of like sitting in the back, like kind of looming presence?
I just don't know how that's possible, because I've been on teams where the person that had been calling the plays just can't have any input. It's just in their blood. And So we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Speaking of blood, you have health orthopedics and sports medicine. Injuries occur wherever, whenever, and however, and it's never convenient. For sprains, strains, and minor fractures, UF Health Ortho Care makes it convenient for you. 7 days a week, including evenings. Walk-ins are welcome as well.
Here,
All right,
let me say something real quickly, if you don't mind. I'm going to go on
Uh-huh.
just a quick tangent. So Michael Casagrande, excellent reporter at AL.com. I think he's still, I mean, I'm sure that's where he is, but he's like one of the best in the SEC. I mean, he might be the best. He did a story some years back, man, on Nick Saban, right before maybe the 2016 championship game, because you can actually get assistants because they're required to speak. Like you don't get them normally, but they do. So he did this whole thing on how Nick Saban orchestrates the game. Okay. Got the headset, how they talk on the headset. He's got the buttons. He can cut you off. And he'd be cutting me off all that game because like he doesn't want to hear chatter. He doesn't want back padding on a great play. You don't want any of that. He doesn't want to talk about the last play. It's always on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And he has got that operation just buttoned up. It's such a great story. I was just looking for it while we were talking. I need to find it. And it's a very, like you're Leonard Bernstein, man. You're like the conductor of this coaching booth and all that information coming in and all that, right? It's extremely challenging, and to do it at the highest level like Nick Saban did for all those years requires an approach. Billy hasn't been doing that specifically. Now he's doing it, but he's also got the play sheet going, and it's going to be like a learning curve just to do that. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. And just when you read that story, you realize just how complex. What a dance. It's kind of a dance. You're doing the whole game and kind of getting the information and calculating and keeping people, focused and moving. And it's hard. And it really enlightened me. And like, we'll see. I mean, but it just shows you how much is going on in that headset. And then you're trying to call plays.
But there's a lot of people that do it, Edgar.
Tell me who's doing
Lane
plays.
Lane Kiffin, Gus Malzahn.
It isn't a lot.
Hugh Freeze, Lincoln Riley.
Okay.
I mean, Kirby runs the defense. He's not the DC, but Kirby runs the defense, so it's the same for him.
Is he running the defense? I thought it was Dolman.
He does, but let's be honest, okay? It's no different than Nick Saban was the damn defensive coordinator.
I mean, okay.
I know.
You know who you just named, though, man?
Huh?
You named like 4 guys before you got to Kirby. 4.
Right, because they're offensive guys. Kirby's
only one of them is like not like getting just torn to shreds.
Right. Jeff Brom does it.
Okay, well, okay, he's doing well, but
yeah, Lane's 5-2.
I know those are the only 2. You mentioned Malzone and Freeze, and who was the other one? I mean, who's not doing well. I mean,
I could probably give you a longer list than that if I really thought about it. But I think that is way overblown.
All right, well, here's what Hugh Freeze.
If we were winning games and scoring a bunch of points, nobody would give a damn if Billy's calling the plays, if Billy's not even paying attention. I disagree with it.
All right, that's fine. Here's what Hugh Freeze said to me specifically at SEC Media Days. I asked him about play calling. It's hard to do, for sure, with everything you have going on to manage the roster and other things that come with it. I'm glad to have those guys that have confidence in, talking about Derek Nix or whatever.
But he calls the plays.
It's not working out there. But the point being is all the other stuff you got to manage. It isn't just like the orchestrating the game. It's all the NIL. It's like you're constantly negotiating with your players and their agents and their parents and all this stuff that you didn't have to do.
Why is Billy doing that? That's why we have all these people doing that stuff. Why is he doing that?
I mean, he's making a decision on the roster, I think.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he shouldn't
eventually
have to do
that's going to be
negotiations and stuff.
That's going to probably be taken off of his hands
I just I've been around
GM.
football a lot, and I just disagree with that. And I'm not saying it because of Billy. I don't care what school is. If you get a job because of what you've done in the past,
You
why
think
in
that's
the
why he
hell would
got
you
this
let
job?
somebody else take it over? That's all I'm saying.
You think that's why he got the job because it was offensive like wizardry?
Well, what did he get the job for then?
It's organizational acumen, I think.
Well, I'm just
His
saying,
ability to build a roster, an organization, and like do things that Dan Mullen didn't do, which were, getting a recruiting
see,
apparatus in
I thought
place.
Dan called damn good plays as the head coach.
What I said, but the thing he didn't do was the organization. That's what I'm saying. Billy was hired to do all the stuff Dan didn't do, not
Okay,
what Dan did.
but let me ask you this. So, from the organization standpoint, I'm not sure what that means. I thought they got rid of Dan because he wasn't recruiting well.
Yes, and that's part of the
Okay,
organization.
well, we're not recruiting very well right now, is my point either.
All right, well, so here's the organizational stuff too, Shane. I mean, someone was last night. Look, I've been getting a lot of people yelling at me about this thing. One of my friends, like, I can't believe they're keeping this guy. I said, okay, I mean, I understand the blowback on it. I've said before, I didn't think it was working out a long time ago. We've talked about this. I wasn't sure it was working out. But, I also see things or hear things behind the scenes that are, for example, that are important, like player experience, right? Do you care about that?
No.
Okay, so you don't care when you bring a player in and they have a great experience, and that's what you sell them on, where they're living, what they're driving, where they're parking, their
Don't care.
locker,
Because
all that,
I guess
what
I'm
they're
going on my
eating, what
experience.
they're eating. Well, I know you're going back 30 some years when that stuff was like, they're just throwing a plate of food at you at training table and you just take what they give you. I mean, you have to sell this stuff now. That wasn't even like stuff that Dan Mullen considered as priority, and Billy's put a big priority on it. Maybe too much of a priority on some of the stuff like Gator made or whatever, but he has tightened up a lot of things behind the scene.
No,
Um,
I'm not going to disagree with that. I think what he's done has been
that's the
phenomenal.
organizational stuff I'm talking about that Dan wasn't dealing with.
Right. Okay, I agree with that. All that is outstanding. But I mean, I think it's great that the players take trips to Greece and all this
Well,
stuff. That's
forget that. I'm talking about what they're eating every
yeah,
night,
yeah. Well, I mean, they
locker,
tried to feed us well back in the day,
parking.
but
Guys were getting a boot. Like everyone in the team had boots on their car when Dan Mullen was
Edgar,
here.
if you knew how much money I had to pay in my college career for
On
the boots
parking
that I
tickets.
had, we had nowhere to park. At least
That's
they
what
have
I'm.
places to
So
park now.
Billy's addressing these kind of things that people
Right.
don't care about. They want wins. It's got to translate on the field, dude. He's 15 and 18.
That's the bomb. Joseph says the player experience is winning. I agree.
Ah, it's good.
If
I
you
agree. Hey,
win,
look, I'm
if
just
you
saying.
win, the players will come here and they won't even care if they get a boot on their car.
You know what Sam Pittman said? He said they would live in a tent if you're given enough NIL. So that's the
Yeah.
game is just changing as we speak. And it's all of the first five questions are what am I getting paid? So that's a big part. That's the main part of it now. So I don't know, man. Billy has made changes that are positive, but
I agree. I
the
agree.
product has not reflected, but that's why that's what he's done that Dan didn't organizationally. Dan Mullen was a strategist a brilliant strategist.
I will say this too, though, that because I've been, regardless of the coach, I've been big on facilities and then in NIL hit. Dan did not have a facility.
No, in fairness to Dan, that facility was supposed to come in before COVID, I thought
Right.
too. I mean, Dan got caught up in the whole thing with that, and the facility lagged. But the bottom line, man, is Billy is going to make some changes over there. It's going to be more than an OC, it sounds like. They're going to be some position coaches potentially changing.
Here's the other question I have for you, Edgar. Back to the OC, because if I'm trying to put myself in, if I was being looked at,
Mm-hmm.
whoever the OC is probably going to want to bring in their O-line coach, their wide receiver coach, and their running back coach.
Okay.
Has anybody thought about that?
Well, I think that some of that might be on the table.
Okay.
Now I don't think Jabbar Jalouk, the running back coach, going anywhere. And
Probably
Billy
not. He's a
Gonzalez-
tremendous recruiter.
Billy Gonzalez. I mean, the guy's one of the best.
I'm just saying that's how
But O-line,
coordinators work.
but O-line, I mean, where's the recruiting on O-line? The O-line's performing much better of late, like surprisingly well of late. But who's in the pipeline? We'll see what happens with that. And I mean, there are going to be some moving parts. And as I mentioned, a GM-ish kind of role, the one Mark Robinson was kind of supposed to do, the chief of staff, whatever they were calling him, the guy who Georgia took. You know what I'm talking about, Mark Robinson.
Yeah.
That's something they really need to get straightened up because, again, like you said, why is Billy involved in all that? Well, he's probably involved in a lot of things that he needs to take off his plate because he's trying to do maybe too much.
Possibly. Sunshine Holiday Lights will light up your holidays, Edgar. Give them a call at 352-665-1320 for all your holiday decorating needs, specializing in outdoor light hangings. Sunshine Holiday Lights. So my question, we had a bunch of text here.
I can't believe we've already blown through 30 minutes.
Yeah, on the Titan MR text line, Edgar.
I started slowly.
This is about 5 different texts in one. So
do them.
And I know we kind of touched on it, but what happens next year if we are sitting here in the same situation? Roughly, what will be the cost?
Well, again, they're going to take a year of buyout off the books. They're going to get rid of some contracts. But if you are making some changes and you are hiring an OC, you're adding cost. Does that like balance out? But you are getting a year of buyout off the books, and I'm sure you're going to clear off some contracts, potentially some behind the scenes with the Army that I don't even know about. And I might be totally wrong about Army people being under contracts. You'd think the top people would be under some contracts. But the figure I heard, and I was shocked, was 40 million to get rid of it, to move on from this current regime. And that's just with a settlement coming up and not having a sure thing. There is going to be no sure thing, and then the investment to the next staff and all this stuff. I mean, maybe you just like see if this thing and give it a little more time and see if it works out because you do like the young talent, you like the buy-in, you like the belief. This team's playing hard for Billy Napier. I think that's beautiful.
There's no doubt about that. Text here on the Titan MR text line from William. Edgar, what makes everybody think that this young talent will be back next year? This has kind of been my argument as well.
Well, I mean, Derek Lagway Sr. did praying hands and was very happy. So I'm sure they were happy to see that. I would think is Jaden Ball even? Is Aaron Gates? I mean, these guys were 3-star recruits that they weren't really being heavily pursued.
I brought this up on a show the other day with Coach Spurrier. There was always a saying when I was in the NFL: the eye and the lie don't sky. I mean, the eye and the sky don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Meaning, regardless of what your record is in the National Football League, whether it's the 3rd preseason game, you play your ass off because everybody's watching the tape.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how college football is in today's world, in my opinion. Not that you didn't play hard whenever, but we used to think we had these young guys wrapped up for a minimum of 3 years, right? Because if you transferred, you got penalized. I think it's kind of like that now because, like you said, Aaron Gates, 3-star, whatever he was, he's played his tails off. Well, that doesn't mean Missouri or Georgia Tech or somebody might say, you know what? We like the way he plays. We're going to give him $1 million. We just don't know. That's just how crazy college athletics is today.
No, you're right. I mean, somebody might come after. I mean, what if Texas A&M, where DJ Lagway visited 11th hour and got everyone nervous, they got more money than anybody. Dude, they're donors, okay? Did I say this on the show? Ross Dellinger on the College Football Inquirer said a couple weeks ago, Texas A&M's donors was 115 million. They were number one. You know what number two was? Texas, 85. They're 30 million ahead of Texas at number two. Florida maybe was 60. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't even think they were that. So, I mean, A&M could just say, hey, DJ, we'll give you 3 million next year. And then it's kind of like, I'll be close 2 hours from home. And
yeah, you never know. You never
but
know.
I don't think that's going to happen with that kid. I think they love love Napier. I've talked to the dad, and I think they love Napier. And there are a lot of people that really like Napier. I'll end on this. I know you got to run me off here. I am surprised at the number of people who actually do support this decision, because it has created a lot of angst, a lot of the vocal social media crowd and all that. I'm not going to say they're the minority either. They might be the majority are upset. But there is a group and a faction of people that actually support it and like the way Billy is directing this program and coaches these kids. But again, told Mike Bianchi this, I think he stole the line. There's going to be a group of never Napiers, in the spirit of election week. The never Trumpers. I mean, they're never Napiers out there that are never going to buy into what he does unless he really wins big.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying what he's done for the program. No denying it all. It's been phenomenal. Edgar, good stuff as always, my friend. We'll recap all this next week.
Hey, by the way, I'm back on Twitter, OS Gators, as of yesterday.
Awesome. They let you back on. Good deal.
Yep.
All right, Edgar, have a great weekend, my friend.
Thanks, man.
That's Edgar Thompson. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by. Appreciate everybody chiming in. We'll see you here on Monday. Take care.